As long as there have been markets, there has been market manipulation. In today's video, I will discuss one of the more common forms of manipulation and how traders can use it to their advantage. Hi, I'm Steven Spencer. I'm a partner at SMB Capital, a proprietary trading firm in New York City where we trade stocks, options, and futures. Broadly speaking, there are two ways people attempt to manipulate stock prices. One is structural and by and large is allowed, or at least rarely if ever punished. If a trader has a large position in a stock they would like to sell, they may attempt to show strong buy interest in the stock by showing large buy orders in the market. Other market participants see those buy orders, and some will buy stock, causing it to rise, and the person with the large position is able to sell at higher prices. When I was younger, in my early years of trading, this sort of thing bothered me. But at a certain point, I decided it made more sense to identify this type of behavior and use it to my advantage. So I would closely watch what we call the tape for manipulation and trade the stock accordingly. The second way to push a stock around is by creating stories about a company. Hedge funds have been doing this for decades. They're able to plant stories with news outlets, and in the current age, they can use social media platforms to very quickly, widely disseminate their stories. Let's take a look at a recent example in Tesla, TSLA. And let's discuss how to identify whether a story is substantive or not, and whether the attempt at manipulation created a good short-term trading opportunity. Early this morning, I woke up and was bombarded about Tesla being investigated by the government. I checked the stock price and it was down about $7 from the day's prior close. Then I did what most people don't do. I read the article with a headline that said it was under investigation. And lo and behold, it took a few seconds for me to realize the headline was inaccurate. The TSLA had received an email complaint alleging that its cars were defective. And as you can see from these headlines, some of them are accurate, some of them are inaccurate. I've kind of circled the ones that are accurate where they say it's alleged. They're alleged that there was an acceleration problem. And a few of the more legitimate companies like the Wall Street Journal, they're accurate. But many of the other headlines are inaccurate, basically saying there's an investigation, and that's what's causing the stock to gap lower. The way car safety works in the US is that if you believe there is a problem with a vehicle, you can report it to the agency in charge of vehicle safety. That agency must tell the general public it has received a complaint. And in the case of Tesla, this has happened repeatedly the past few years. Tesla is the most heavily shorted stock in the United States. The value of Tesla's short position is well over $10 billion. When you are short a stock, you lose money when the price rises. In the case of Tesla, in the first half of January, it traded from just above $400 per share to $550. The quick math is shorts had roughly $4 billion in losses in the first 2 weeks of January. That is a lot of pain. On January 13th, an email was sent to the TSLA stating that all of Tesla's cars were defective. The person who sent the email knows the system. They understand the TSLA will release a statement, and then there will be a flurry of headlines, and they pray like hell. Those headlines will encourage people to sell the stock, and their losses will become less. Tesla was our #1 in-play stock in our morning game plan. The news was a complaint had been emailed to the TSLA. Rather than being annoyed or angry about this attempt at stock manipulation, I followed my normal prep and identified areas where I would like to buy the stock if it dropped. So here are the morning game plan notes. It has our multiple support areas, has multiple resistance areas. We're looking for it to trade in that range. If you want to understand better how I develop the game plan notes and the top in-play stocks, please check out thetradingworkshop.com or click on the link above that takes you to our 2-hour free workshop. I spend 30 minutes explaining in detail how to identify the most in-play stocks with the lowest risk, highest reward. And there are 3 of the top setups that we trade on our prop desk in New York City as well. And it's well worth your time, and we've gotten a lot of positive feedback on it. If there had been no headline in the morning, my game plan would have been slightly different. I would have still looked at Tesla to trade in a range, but that range would have been higher based on yesterday's large afternoon bounce. The adjustment to my game plan was simply lowering the prices where I would look to buy the stock. So coming into today, we need to understand the context of what Tesla stock has done recently. I already let you know that it had run up from just above $400 a share to $550 in the first 2 weeks of the month. But if we zoom out even a little bit more, we know that going all the way back to October, they released a really good earnings report and the stock had gapped above 300. So the stock now from October to mid-January has traded from 300 all the way to above $500 a share. You could argue that this is perhaps the strongest stock in the market right now. The buyers are in control, the psychology is positive. So that's kind of the backdrop that we're looking at when this news comes out this morning with the complaint being filed with the TSLA. So I'm using that as part of as I'm developing my game plan. There's a positive psychology coming in. I know that prior to today, the stock had topped out in front of 550 and had pulled back yesterday down to below $500 a share before having that strong afternoon bounce to 515. So as the stock's been trending higher for the last few months, it has not had more than 2 days in a row of being negative. And so when it's bounced, has a big bounce yesterday from 493's open to 515 in the afternoon, my thought process is basically perhaps today it can have a day of rest, perhaps there will be a range. And so the news story, or the attempted news story by those who are short the stock, all that does is I still think it can be a day of rest today, but the price levels will be shifted downwards because in the pre-market it's trading lower. You might get a little bit of selling pressure right on the open, and so I'm going to adjust the prices that we look at trading it. The market opens and Tesla bounces to 515. That's R3 on our sheet. So now I know many traders were thinking the same thing as me. They're using the headlines to buy. Based on the opening strength, it was my view there are two possible trades in the afternoon. Buy on a pullback to the morning support, or the pre-market support where it had a large bounce from already, or get long if Tesla trades above the morning high of 515. Another wrinkle to today's market activity that it is monthly options expiration. And if a stock has a large open interest for a strike price, that can act as a magnet as well. So as we look at the open interest sheet, what we can see is there's a lot of people who own the 510 calls and a lot of people who own the 510 puts. Other than 500 strike price, it's the largest open interest we see on all of these different strike prices. And so what happens is, as the stock Tesla trades above 510, people who own the calls, they're actually encouraged to sell stock because they're in effect locking in profits on the calls they're long, the 510 calls. Or when it trades below 510, people who own the 510 puts are encouraged to get long because that's how they can profit from the puts that they own. That gives them the ability to sell at the 510 strike price at the close. And so you have this dynamic where it trades above 510, it gets pulled back. When it trades below 510, potentially it gets pulled up. And so that combined with the fact that we have the 508 support from the open and then the 504, 505 support from the pre-market, I'm going to look if they start to bounce from those levels for it to get what's called pinned at 510 into the close. And so that's another kind of a wrinkle and another thing that we're going to use as we're looking to trade the stock. And so in the morning, it got to our R3 resistance level from our game plan notes. It failed there at 515. And as it's starting to fail there and move down, a reasonable target is the 510 price level based on the large open interest in the options. And in the late morning, the middle of the day, when it started to hold below 510, you could look for it to come into support, and then if it started to bounce, to pin back up at 510 as well. And I think as I'm doing this video, I think it's already had it's bounced from 505, 504, back up to 509, 510, and as we come into the close, and we're filming this before the close, we'll watch to see if it kind of pins right at that strike price. And so the main lesson and the main takeaway from today is coming into today, we had an idea how we were going to trade this stock. Then the story breaks. The press is going to treat it as it normally does, as a big headline. A lot of the headlines are going to be incorrect. Less experienced traders will start to sell it in the pre-market, maybe even sell it a little bit right on the open, but we'll look for more experienced traders to buy it because they saw the large bounce yesterday, they saw the strong afternoon close, and the opportunity to buy it down $10 in the morning based on the fact that it's already started to bounce yesterday. People are going to jump in and use that opportunity. And then once we have our morning high and our morning low, we're then just going to treat it as a range trade and go from there. We're not going to get angry. We're not going to get upset. We're going to use this attempt at manipulation to give us basically good risk reward trades. So one of the great things about the trading community and the people who watch the videos is we get amazing feedback on these videos. We get a lot of developing traders and experienced traders talking about how they would trade this situation, how they'll use news to their advantage. If you have any ideas of how you would trade a similar situation or how you're using a news catalyst or fake news catalyst, please comment below the video, share your ideas, share your thoughts. And if you have questions, by all means, ask us questions about this particular setup or similar setups. We'll answer all your questions. And also a lot of the people watching the video are experienced traders. They'll give you feedback as well. So share your thoughts, share your questions. We can all learn more that way.